Hey neighbor, welcome to Wild Homestead Living. I'm Kevin,
I'm Julie.
and today we're going to show you how we use these devices called soil blockers to start our seeds.
Let's get started. There are lots of different types of containers that you can start seeds in. And the two most common varieties that you can find at a garden center or even online are plastic containers. They're sometimes called seed cells or trays, and compostable containers, which also go under the name of peat pot or cowpie pot. Those are the two types that we've used the most. Each one of them comes with their own challenges that we found can damage the roots or limit growth once we put them in the garden. So that led us to do a little bit more investigation, and we discovered something called a soil blocker. And we originally read about it from a gardener named Elliot Coleman in New England. And so today we're going to show you those tools and how we use them. But the one key takeaway that we want to share with you is whatever you decide to go with or have available, don't let perfection paralyze you. Just begin.
All right, so here we have our soil block station. On this end we have our mixture, which is our soil mix plus our worm castings from our worm bin. We have videos that show both how we make our soil mix and how we harvest the worm castings from our bin, so check those out if you're interested in that part. In the middle here we have our sifter, which we're going to be running this mix through to get all the clumps out, make sure we have a fine mixture for the blockers themselves. We have some water to add to this to make sure that we get the right consistency. We have two types of blockers. We have a 3/4 inch blocker, a 2-inch blocker. The blocks made with the 3/4 inch will eventually fit inside the 2-inch blocks to give the roots more room to spread as those plants grow. The blocks themselves, once they're made, are going to go into these trays. The lower tray holds water, the upper tray is porous and allows water to wick up into this newspaper, which will then go into the blocks. And then finally, I just have a bucket of water to rinse off the blockers as needed. So that's our components. Let's mix some of this soil and make some blocks. We're ready to mix some water into that. If you ever made mud pies as a kid, you'll be excellent at soil blocks. All right, so I have my soil all mixed with water here to a consistency that I think is going to work pretty well. Now I'm going to be packing that soil into this blocker as much as I can. You're going to see water coming out the top when it's nice and packed. And then I'm going to shave off the bottom, put it in our tray, and it releases with a spring. So let's see how it goes. So as I pack this in, and each one of the cubes, each one of the blocks becomes full, you'll see water squeezing out of the top there. This is very damp soil. And squeezing that water out will help the blocks stick a little bit better. All right, I'm just going to shave off the excess. And place it in the tray. All right, so I'm just going to cram as much of this soil into the blocker as I can until I see the water coming out the top. And that's good because you want to squeeze out a little of that excess water or else the block isn't going to hold together. And I've found this rocking method works best, where you kind of rock it, you push more soil under, you rock it, and repeat until you see water coming out of the top of all of these. Okay. Pick it up carefully, see what we have. Looks nicely packed, so we'll scrape it off. Now when you go to put it in the tray, you just want to do it carefully, make sure nothing's falling out as you do this. I've found as you squeeze the spring to release the block that if I bring the block up towards my hand here, then release, let the spring come up on its own, and then squeeze again, it pops off nicely and you don't end up breaking your blocks. If I try to do just a single squeeze and pull it away, I've found that it sometimes knocks off some of the corners or you don't end up with the perfect block, but that 2-squeeze method, highly recommend.
So now that you've seen how we make the blocks, we've got a tray ready, I'm going to show you how we plant it. We're going to plant our seeds today in the tiny blocks, the 3/4 inch blocks, and then once those are up and they've sprouted, we're going to transfer those little blocks into the big blocks. To plant the 3/4 inch blocks, I use a tool like a toothpick or this metal skewer, and I just poke a little hole in the top. And we're going to be planting these cauliflower seeds, and your seeds will usually tell you how deep to plant them on the back. And then I go through and I just drop each seed in and then gently cover it back with this tool again. So there you have it. That is how to start seeds using soil blocks.
If you're interested in growing your own food but aren't sure how to get started, we invite you to head over to wildhomesteadliving.com and download our 23-page quick start guide. There is a wealth of information in there Julie's put together to help you get growing.
And we would love to know what you thought of this video. Wherever you're watching, go ahead and scroll down and leave us a comment.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.